Slatty, what's going? We got Tennessee man killed a rapper while on probation for a body with his dad. Damn, this nigga doing shit with his daddy now, boy. That shit crazy, boy.
Nobody wins when the family feels
each other, man. That'll do, but I ball hard like a creative player with the extra attributes.
Celebrities like Justin Bieber are mourning the rapper shot to death in Midtown Nashville, and the killer still hasn't been caught. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry is speaking with his friend and mentee about the life and legacy he leaves behind.
We have at present do not believe that Mr. Cameron committed the homicide, but that he had critical information in regard to it. And we had also received information just in the past day that Mr. Cameron had made threats to witnesses who had provided the police department with information in regard to the Evans homicide.
We all know folks will take your life for some money. But nowadays, people will take your life for mugging. Nowadays, they catch your bodies while they on bond. It even got to the point where nowadays, the person who on bond for a body will catch another body. Would you believe me if I told you all three scenarios is what we have here today? A man who grew up in LA, a place that's famous for the gang culture. And even if you're not from there, you know, going to LA, tread lightly, because you could be robbed for your belongings, especially out of towns. I mean, it's unfortunate having that culture take the life of many household names when it comes to rapping, and the likes of P&B Rock.
Rapper named P&B Rock, and he had a lot of devoted fans. One of them spoke to us here at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle this morning.
Pop Smoke.
Star on the rise, killed during a violent home invasion and rapper's murder.
So being able to grow up in an environment like LA as a kid, you would think you would have an advantage when it comes to scenarios like this, especially on how to move in other states. But as we all know, family, bullets don't have no names on it. They just fly. Today we talk about a man who was gunned down in another state for a music festival by allegedly a guy who's already out on bond for another murder with the helps of his dad, which you'll later see in the video. So today, we go over who this man is. We also go over who the victim is while paying our respects. Not to mention, go over all the public facts that pertain to the suspect. So before we go over this one, remember, I don't give you no aim. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to jump right to it. Despite the large crowds, the loud noise, and the unwanted altercations, music festivals are a huge boost to the local economy when it comes to local businesses. But as we mentioned, when it comes to pros and cons, everything and everyone have them. In places like Nashville, Tennessee, when it comes to the rap, drill, hip-hop culture, it seldomly get mentioned, as it's portrayed as a southern country music state. That could be true, but it's also a fact. It's safe to say, every place, every state have the same problem. Over the past weekend, Nashville, Tennessee was hosting the annual music festival, April 19th to the 22nd. During that time, a shooting had occurred. The victim was later identified as Christopher Cheeks, aka Chris King, a local rapper, as we mentioned, from California, friends and once roommates with the pop star Justin Bieber, who said this when he heard the news. Love you, bro, to his 292 million followers. This one hurts. Please keep his family in your prayers. See you in paradise, brother. Also, this victim was close friends with the rap star Trippie Redd, who also shared his grieving process with his followers in a post to Instagram. I am so hurt right now. I can't even think. I love you. Please come back. I can't catch a break. And the details of the rapper Chris King demise is where things get interesting. May he rest in peace. And loving condolences to his family. Christopher Cheeks was 32 years old. Apparently, the only details that was given to the public was that he suffered a gunshot wound after having an encounter with a group of muggers along Hayes Street, according to police. Another man with Cheeks at the time also suffered a gunshot wound. Now, it was also later determined that the suspect was chilling with the victim prior to shooting him and taking his life. And after doing my research on the suspect, he had a criminal history that even had a connection with his dad. The suspect was later identified as Adrian Cameron, 19 years old. He was supposed to be wearing an ankle monitor in connection with the demise of a 50-year-old man named Josh Evans, who they found deceased in Cumberland River. Just 17 years old at the time, Adrian Cameron II had surrendered at the Juvenile Detention Center on a Friday night, having an outstanding M1 charge from a September drug-related shooting In 2021, Josh Evans, who was 50 years old, whose body was recovered from the Cumberland River. Cameron was a fugitive for 6 months on the run. The investigation shows that Evans was shot during an attempted drug transaction involving Cameron inside a Phillip Street apartment on September 4th, 2021. Evans' body was discovered in the Cumberland River on September 13th, 2021, about a week later. This was Adrian's mugshot. But here's how his father was connected and went out like Tony Montana by helping dispose the body that was later found in the river and threatening witnesses for his son. A little after a week later, a Nashville man was shot 4 times.
I ain't gonna lie, that nigga daddy was tripping, but I ain't gonna lie, he a rider though. Shit, his dad tripping, but I ain't gonna lie, that's some rider shit
By
though.
police after opening fire on officers with an AR-15. Adrian Cameron, who was the father of Adrian Cameron II from Nashville, lost his life the night of September 18th as a result of multiple gunshot wounds. The shooting took place at a Days Inn on the 3400 block of Percy Price Drive, according to Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Here's a picture. In a 7-page report, police found Cameron was shot twice, once in the right hand and once in the right forearm. He also suffered a bite wound to his left thigh from the police dog. His manner of death was ruled as a homicide. The toxicology report found illicit drugs in Cameron's system, including C, methamphetamine, and Mary Jane. On the night of his demise, the Metro Nashville Police Department had sought Cameron, the father that is, for questioning in regards to the demise of the man whose body was pulled from the Cumberland River, who was wrapped in trash bags, who wasn't identified to the public. Then, his son was the suspect, who he allegedly helped throw in the river. Detectives and members of the SWAT team had arrived at a hotel where Cameron was staying to serve warrants on him and arrest him. But after repeated commands to surrender, Cameron exited the room and immediately fired down on officers in the hotel parking lot. According to the TBI, 3 SWAT officers returned fire, striking him. He was rushed to Vanderbilt University Hospital Center, where a doctor pronounced him deceased at 8:21 p.m. But check this news conference when they first released it, just saying a person who was related to Cameron in connection to the man that was found in the river. May he rest in peace and level condolences to his family.
Autopsy showed that he had been shot to death.
iPhone 15 in a mouse case. 3, 2, 1.
During the investigation, Adrian Cameron, a 47-year-old man, was identified as an individual who needed to be questioned in this homicide and who likely had information. Mr. Cameron is a convicted felon. Our information was that Mr. Cameron was armed with high-powered guns, and we even developed information over the past day or so that Mr. Cameron had been threatening witnesses who we had identified as part of the Evans homicide investigation. During the day today, our Titans group learned that Mr. Cameron was in a room here at the Days Inn behind me. He was in a room on the 2nd floor. After assessing where Mr. Cameron was, the fact that he is a convicted felon, that he had a parole violation warrant that had just been issued, and the fact that he's known to have high-powered weapons, the police department SWAT team was asked to assist in the execution of a search warrant of this hotel room, as well as assist in taking Mr. Cameron into custody on the parole violation warrant. The SWAT team arrived at the motel, positioned a SWAT vehicle outside Mr. Cameron's room, and made announcements over the loudspeaker for Mr. Cameron to surrender. The officers fully expected Mr. Cameron would see that the SWAT team was there and that he should surrender. The door of his motel room opened. A female came out. She was quickly grabbed and taken into safety by SWAT members on the 2nd floor. Seconds later, Mr. Cameron himself came to the threshold of the door with a high-powered rifle-type pistol, which was semi-automatic, may have been fully automatic. We're still analyzing the gun. He fired multiple rounds, causing the SWAT team members to return fire to him. Now, when he fired those rounds, he was directing his bullets at the SWAT members. We had 3 SWAT members return the fire. Mr. Cameron was hit and fatally wounded. The investigation into the Evans homicide is continuing. We think that there are other persons involved in this. We have a lot of more information to gather. We know that Mr. Cameron's 16-year-old son was in this motel room earlier today and may have left the hotel room armed. His name is also Adrian Cameron Jr. or the second. And the police department would like to know where he is. Again, we have questions for him in regard to the homicide of Mr. Evans. So to encapsulate
That nigga on the run. That nigga did the race. What you talking about?
where we are tonight, Adrian Cameron, who was wanted for a parole violation and who was wanted for questioning in the murder of Josh Evans from earlier in the week, was in the motel room here tonight. SWAT members ordered him over a loudspeaker to come out of the room peacefully and surrender. Mr. Cameron ignored those commands. He chose to come to the door armed with a high-powered gun and opened fire on the SWAT team in the parking lot below. 3 SWAT members returned the fire. Mr. Cameron was fatally wounded and died at a local hospital. That's where we are. Mr. Cameron's name was developed as a person who needed to be questioned in regard to the homicide of Mr. Evans. We, from the information we have at present, do not believe that Mr. Cameron committed the homicide, but that he had critical information in regard to it. And we had also received information just in the past day that Mr. Cameron had made threats to witnesses who had provided the police department with information in regard to the Evans homicide. Given the totality of all that information, we had been discussing his situation with federal authorities and state authorities. A parole violation warrant was issued for Mr. Cameron, so the officers here tonight were going to take him into custody as part of the parole violation warrant. And then we wanted to question him in regard to the homicide.
It's crazy just trying to figure out the story on how this young man lost his life while at a music festival from LA. Led me to a dad who went into a shootout at a local motel like a movie before being captured by authorities when wanted in connection and the disposal of a man who lost his life from a drug dispute according to authorities that his son was held responsible for. As we mentioned, he was out on bail, his son that is, and while out on bail, he allegedly catch another body. We can't make this up. Send 11 prayers to all the victims. Part of this story. We gotta tighten up. Be aware of our surroundings. Family, y'all let me know how you guys feel about this one. This was the story of a California rapper losing his life at a music festival in another state by the hands of a man who was already out on bail for another body. Talk to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And today, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Oh, that shit crazy, man. Anyways, y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah.